Welcome back. Now, there is a campaign that always takes place between the 25th of November to 10th December, and the world recognizes it as the 16 days of activism. Now, this campaign particularly targets ending gender-based violence, and there are several ways that have been put forward since the beginning of this campaign by various partners, including UNAIDS, which of course is the champion in this World Health Organization. Even here in our country, we have people who have worked to see that we end gender-based violence. Now, my guest in studio is Betty Lamunu. She is the protection advisor at Lutheran World Federation. Good afternoon, Betty.
Good afternoon, Walter.
Welcome to studio this afternoon.
Thank you.
What we want to understand from you, basically, first of all, is, what does the Lutheran World Federation do?
Thank you. Lutheran World Federation works for communities affected by conflict and disasters. And in Uganda, we respond to the needs of the refugees. And we work in Kwamenge with refugees from the Congo, the DRC, that is the refugees that are settled in the Ramwanja refugee settlement. And we work in Adjumani with South Sudanese refugees, in Moyo with South Sudanese refugees, and in Lamour with South Sudanese refugees. Okay. We also have programs in other parts of the country. In northern Uganda, we have development programs in Kitgum Pade and Agago, and in eastern part of Uganda, we have a program in Luka. Thank you.
All right, Betty, what we know is that you have a vast experience in working with various communities, and what we like to understand is, how do you find the experience of gender-based violence? What would you say as regards to the community acceptance that gender-based violence is real and we live with it?
Thank you, Walter. Gender-based violence is a reality in our country. Where we are working, we have witnessed a gross violation of the rights of women and girls. And in the refugee context, in both the South Sudanese and the refugees from the DRC, we are witnessing violation of the rights of women from their countries of origin, and also the same violations is happening in the settlements where they are. So gender-based violence is affecting our community, not just because it's an issue that relates to women. This is an issue that affects everyone. It is affecting women, it's affecting children, it's affecting men, it's affecting boys, it's affecting families, communities, and the nation. So the reality of gender-based violence exists, and in our campaign, we are calling on to action. We need to rise up and take action. And we are adopting this year's campaign by the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Gender, that is peace at home, peace in the nation, end gender-based violence, by engaging men and women, men and boys.
Exactly.
Yes.
At the point of men is where I wanted us to, head into next. And I wanted to, say that the theme for this year is male engagement in prevention of GBV, or gender-based violence. But how is this going to be done? What we know is that there are men who also suffer gender-based violence, but probably keep silent because of one or too many reasons. But what kind of engagement are you looking out for? That
is very true. It is understandable that males do suffer from violence. And perpetrators of gender-based violence, the magnitude of them come from men. So that is a fact that exists, not only in our nation, but globally. While we embrace the engagement of men in ending gender-based violence, we want to see that they are accepted as part of the framework that would really do something to end violence. Because, first of all, men are decision makers. In households, they are decision makers. Men are gatekeepers of cultural norms. Our cultures, the custodians are the men. And men also are survivors, as you said. They are also victims of gender-based violence. Men are influencers on fellow men and the entire societies. When we look at survivors of gender-based violence, especially from the perspective of women, you'll see that they will encounter men as they seek redress to their situation. The survivors will find men at the health facilities. Survivors will find men at the police when they are reporting cases. Even in court, men are there. In different institutions, men are there. And this is the time we have to take action and ensure that men are not left behind. We need to hold hands together and stand up and prevent violence against women and boys and girls. And again, you will notice that a woman suffering violence, whether at home or by unknown attackers, it affects everyone in the family. The children are affected, the husband is affected, the relatives are affected. Just the same with girls. So leaving men behind in the fight against gender-based violence will not lead us anywhere. This is the time we want to take action. We want to bring them on board as key influencers, key decision makers, and we stand up together, hold our hands together, and ensure that violence against women and girls is ended or stopped in our society.
Betty, in less than a minute,
yes,
really, let's wrap this up by, giving us some of the ways that you're going to interest men in taking part in this conversation.
Well, there are many ways and there are many models that have already been developed and tested and being used. One of them is being used by LWF in our programming, where we involve men in the design of our projects. We critically involve men and boys, especially to end gender stereotypes. There are many activities that men can be involved in to end gender stereotypes. You know, gender is a social construct. It's what society ascribes as, you being a male and a female, or a woman and a man. So when we involve them in our programming, and targeted programming where men are the champions, boys are the champions, and then we build them up to speak, the capacity to speak up and influence that entire society, articulating that this is what we all want. We want to see safety for our girls, we want to see safety for our boys. So involving them in programming, not only by humanitarian agencies, all targeted programs, whether by the government, state or non-state actors, any program that come which is related to, protection of human rights, should targetedly involve men in the different models that have been developed by different organizations, so that they are seen as champions and change agents who can bring, a total, complete ending of gender-based violence against women and girls.
Thank you very much. There isn't any much better way we would have said it other than Betty Lamundu. She is the protection advisor at the Lutheran Federation. And thank you very much.